Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA. I make videos for NFL. All these videos they get posted right here on this subreddit right here. It's called DF Sports with one S. You can find my posts with my username Shook. I make updates with all the news that comes out today. There's a ton of news to keep an eye on today. You can ask me questions about the slate and stuff like that. So this will be linked down below. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can do so on Twitter. Right here are my handles. Some people are saying Twitter isn't working sometimes. So if Twitter is not working, you can always just message me on Reddit as well. I'll check this message right after this. Apologize. Sometimes I'm slow to respond on Reddit Messenger, but if you comment on this post, I'll respond to you basically right away. After 5 p.m. Eastern, that's when I'll be on. So, yeah. Before we get into the breakdown, we'll take a look at my lineups from today, and then if you are interested in, more in-depth content where I give you cores to play, a core of 4 players each day, I tell you exactly what games I want to target, my favorite plays in each game, and stuff like that. Private videos for Showdown, Main Slate, Night Slate, cores for all that as well. That'll be linked in the Reddit post too. All right, let's go over my lineups from tonight before we get into this breakdown. So, had a losing day after the nice win. The past 2 days had a so-so day today. How much did I enter? 30, 60, 90, 130, 170, 185. So like 193 or so, if my math's correct. So lost about $80 on the day. So let's go over my main slate lineup. Ben Simmons just gets injured. Massive foul trouble. Loses a ton of minutes. Nothing I could do there. Nemhard, here's the thing. I actually had a pivot that probably cost me the cash. What was cash line tonight? 261. Yeah, it cost me the cash. My pivot right before lock. And I'll show you guys what my pivot was right before lock. My pivot was I went from TJ McConnell and Jabari Smith, who both absolutely nuked. What did TJ go for? I want to say TJ went for like 40, 35, and then Jabari Smith, I want to say absolutely nuked as well. Everyone in the Rockets game just nuked. You guys knew that was my favorite game to target. They were low owned too. Like Jabari was low owned, Fred VanVleet was low owned, 3% absolute nuke. That game was just phenomenal. Yeah, Jabari Smith went for 33, so what, that's 68 fantasy points right there for those two, and my pivot went for 25, 35, 43, so about a 25 fantasy point difference, so that would leave me at 286. Yep, cost me the cash, unfortunate. So Josh Hart, I was very, very high on Josh Hart once we got news that he was starting. He was one of my favorite value plays, and then I swapped to Nemhard. But if you guys watched my video yesterday, I told you guys, even if TJ McConnell comes off the bench, I still really like him. But I think it was a bit over-owned, in my opinion. But still, I still liked him, disregarding ownership. That cost me the cash, but my core today was CJ McCollum. He was a must. I was shocked to see him only 30% owned. He was an absolute smash. Shocked people faded. He was a core play for me. What else was a core play for me? Sengun was a core play for me. He only played like 25 minutes, I want to say. Unbelievable stuff. Don't understand what the minute troll there was. He was a core play, and then Bagley was a core play for me, and then the other part of my core was I basically told everyone to get to one of the Portland guards. Sharp is the one who absolutely smashed. And then I played Trae Young, Nemhard, Ben Simmons, and that's it. So, and then Showdown went pretty well for me. My Showdown core was Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and D'Angelo Russell. And then I told everyone to go full stars and scrubs, meaning get to at least one more star, that being LeBron, Kawhi, PG, if not two. So I told everyone complete stars and scrubs, and then my favorite punts were Christie and Hayes. I went with Hayes. The winning lineup had Christie, So that was a bit unfortunate there. And then my other lineup, basically just a swap. AD at captain, faded LeBron, and this one has Paul George. So did a little 2v2 there. And then my night slate lineup, I forgot to click on that. I was dead from the very beginning because Torian Prince just gets rolled out after lock. So was dead right from the start. Didn't even have a chance. So no point in even going over that. All right, let's get into this 4-game slate for tomorrow, the 2nd. Toronto at Philly. So got a pretty disgusting game environment here, but I still think there's some solid plays in this game. I think Siakam's priced about right at 8-7. He's having a pretty bad year from his standards last year. Right now, Scotty Barnes is their best player. Scotty Barnes right now is their go-to guy. Obviously, we know he's a good defender, can get defensive stats, good rebounder, can stuff the stat sheet, and he's also going to play huge minutes as long as the game stays close. So I think Scotty is still too cheap. So I still like Scotty. He's going low owned every slate. I think he'll be pretty low owned tomorrow just because this game is disgusting pace wise. So I like Scotty Barnes for tournaments. Once again, I think I'd rather play him over Siakam. Dennis Schroeder's been great. He is handling the ball a ton. He has the ball in his hands an absolute boatload. His floor has been very, very high. Also does have a ceiling if he can get the double-double bonus as well. And we know Dennis Schroeder's not scared to be a guy that's going to be aggressive when he's out there and shoot the ball. So I still think Schroeder's fine. I think he's still priced about right. I don't love the environment of this game, but I have no issue if you want to play Dennis Schroeder. Precious Achiuwa, I believe, is out tomorrow. We'll see if he's out. If he is out, then you'll probably just get more secured minutes for Jakob Poeltl. I don't love the spot going up against Joel Embiid. Usually, I like to target Joel Embiid when he's going up against centers that like to go out to the three-point line. Then I think it's a good spot when opposing centers go out to the three-point line. Obviously, Poeltl's not going to do that. So not a good spot, but if Precious Achiuwa is out, you're going to see more secure minutes for Poeltl. He's over a fantasy point per minute guy, so if you give him like 30 minutes, probably will pay off this price point. So I do have interest in him. Spot just isn't great though. OG more of a filler play for me at 5-6. I mean, he's playable as like a last man in, but don't love it. Gary Trent, no thank you. And then if Precious Achiuwa is out, you'll probably see some Chris Boucher at 3.9K. Good point per minute guy. He's about a fantasy point per minute player if you give him like 12 to 15 minutes. On this small of a slate, I think he is viable for value. And then if anything happens to like Poeltl, you could see some more run because there is foul risk going up against Joel Embiid, right? You're seeing some Grady Dick off the bench. He had a big game a couple games ago. Don't think it's necessary to go there, but is a good shooter. If he does hit his shots, sure, could pay off value, but more of a large 150 max play, right? Also seeing some Flynn, but don't think we need to go there either. All right, let's go over the Sixers. So Joel Embiid 11.5, I think now is priced about right after his insane performance in only 29 minutes. I believe he dropped 100 fantasy points last year. He was definitely well on his way to dropping 100 fantasy points in this game as well, but the blowout absolutely killed that. But we know he does have a ceiling, right? So he's in play for that reason. But I think 11.5 is just priced right. He'll probably be loaned. I think it's fine. I think it's much easier for me to pay 8.4 for Tyrese Maxey, who has been incredible. This kid is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Gonna play huge minutes. Played 35 in a massive blowout. I'm expecting 40-ish minutes for him. He is obviously their second go-to guy right now. Him and B, they're gonna take most of the shots. Gonna stuff the stat sheet as well with no Harden. Last year he was a bit more scoring dependent. This year he has a much higher floor, and he's actually been rebounding the ball pretty well. Definitely an outlier, but if it does continue to happen, even better. So yeah, pretty high floor, insane ceiling. Guy's gonna chuck when he's out there as well, be super aggressive. So I think Maxey's still pretty good play at 8.4. Tobias Harris at 7.1, definitely a bit overpriced for my liking, but a pretty safe play. And then we did get news that Kelly Oubre, I believe, will be in the starting lineup. No news yet, I believe, on if Covington will be playing. Okay, looks like they will be playing. Morris, Martin, and Covington will suit up for their first game with the Sixers this season. So, and Batum will not. Okay, so Oubre will start, Batum will be out, Covington will be in, Martin will be in. So I don't know what the minutes are going to look like for guys like Martin and Covington. I really don't. So I don't know if we'll be able to go there. But with Oubre starting, I think he's a fine play at 5'8". Now, definitely going to lose a little bit of usage in the starting lineup as he would instead of coming off the bench. So definitely a bit of a downgrade in the starting lineup, in my opinion, than he would have coming off the bench. But I still think he's fine. Playable is like a last man in for me. Same with Melton. Not going to go out of my way to roster these guys, but they are playable as last man's in. And it's hard for me to go to anyone else. So that'll wrap it up for this game. Let's move on to my favorite game on the slate, and it's going to be a lot of people's favorite game on this slate. Excuse me. Pistons at Pelicans. So I would assume that Jalen Duren is going to be out for tomorrow, and Alec Burks will keep an eye on that. So assuming Jalen Duren is out, I mean, I like Cade for tournaments. He's just so up and down. He's foul prone, but they're running a really, really tight rotation in Detroit right now. So that's a good thing. Obviously has a high floor if he can stay out of foul trouble. He'll stuff the stat sheet. It's just a matter if he hits his shots, right? Actually, I would say the floor is pretty low for a guard, but if he can stay out of foul trouble, he does have a ceiling. So, and like I said, they're running a really, really tight rotation. They're giving their main guys really big minutes right now. Let me see what they ran tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Basically ran like an 8-man rotation, giving the main guys huge minutes. So I like Cade ceiling for tournaments. Jalen Duren, like I said, I think he'll be out. Thompson is just very, very safe. Probably plays low 30s minutes. Good rebounder, can stuff the stat sheet. So I think Thompson's very safe. If there's no Duren, I do like Stewart at 6'1". He gets a boost. They also played him at the 5 some as well. So if they do that again, that raises 4 and ceiling as well. So I still like Stewart even at 6'1". If there's no Burks, I think you could consider Ivy as a tournament play. I don't love it though. Killian Hayes, always playable, but he's really, really low usage. And then assuming Marvin Bagley starts again, he stands out as one of the best value, probably the best value play on this slate. The Faders got absolutely bailed out today. But assuming Duren's out and he starts, he should be in your lineup 1,000%. You saw decent minutes from Marcus Sasser. I mean, he's low usage guy. This game's definitely a bit of an outlier, but if they give him 20 minutes again, like if Burks is out or something, playable in like a large field tournament. And then I think Wiseman was a pretty sharp play today. He just got in a really massive foul trouble. The only thing risky with Wiseman is they could just run Bagley and Stewart at the 5. But good thing is he was going to get minutes tonight until he got into massive foul trouble. And we know Wiseman is a good point per minute guy. So if you give him like 15 minutes at the flat min price, he's probably going to do pretty well. So I definitely have interest in Wiseman at the flat min, assuming Duren is out. Now, if Duren's in, then, Duren I like at 6'8", assuming no limit. Thompson I like. Stewart would be overpriced. Bagley, no thank you, and then Wiseman would be out of play. So that's going to change the whole slate. But like I said, I think if Duren is out. And then if Burks is in, I'm not going to touch Hayes. I'm not going to touch Sasser. Not going to touch Ivy. So, yeah, let's go over the Pels. So big news here is Brandon Ingram has been ruled out for Wednesday's game against the Thunder. We'll see if he will be playing. I don't think we got news yet on that, actually. If he is in, then I think, it's Zion, Ingram, CJ. They're all fine options. No standouts here. Joval would just be playable. Wouldn't love Herbs. Herb Jones, Hawkins would be out of play for me. Dyson would be out of play for me. Now, if he's out again, then that's where things get interesting. Then I absolutely love CJ McCollum. Zion Williamson doesn't get a huge boost with Ingram out. He goes from 1.3 fantasy points per minute to 1.35, so it doesn't really change Zion too much, but still be fine. Jonas, probably plays low 20 minutes, does have a ceiling of 5'9". Intrigued by it up against Detroit. Herb Jones, I think, would be very, very safe. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, he'll play big minutes. And then I would like Hawkins quite a bit for value. They're playing him huge minutes. So Hawkins, Bagley, they would be two of the best value plays on the slate if those guys get ruled out. Larry Nance is getting some run, playable. And then Dyson Daniels getting some decent run as well. I think he is an okay value if Ingram is out. So a lot to like with this Pels team, pending some news. Let's move on to Orlando. So I think Paolo's okay at 7-3 now. The price point is coming down. Just a filler play for me. Franz I actually think has been better than Paolo to start this year. But both, solid rebounders, can do a bit of everything. I have no issue if you want to go to either of them. Wannacard Jr. has been ass, but should play about 30 minutes. Does have double-double upside. I think he's fine. No standouts here, but the price points are intriguing. I think my favorite play once again is going to be Markelle Fultz at 5.5K. Should play low 30s minutes, hold the ball in his hands a decent amount, but the floor has been pretty low with him. Cole Anthony's playable, but I prefer just getting up to Fultz. And then Suggs has been playing very, very well, but I think some regression is coming. And I'm not going to play Gary Harris. He's been playing pretty well as late, but I'm not going to do it. I'll mention Joe Ingles at 3-2, who's been getting low teens minutes. Large field tournament dart if you want it. And yeah, pretty easy team to talk about. And this rotation for Utah is just absolutely disgusting. I don't know what they're doing. Marketed at 9K, I think it's priced about right, but does have a ceiling. Double-double upside, fine option. Kessler at 6K. Minutes have been very, very up and down for him. He still does have a ceiling like this. Has double-double upside. Has defensive stats upside as well. So have some interest just because of that reason, but I think he's priced right. The guys that I do like here quite a bit is Jordan Clarkson at 5'4". I think it's just way too cheap. When he's hitting his shots, he is 40, 45 fantasy point upside. So I really like Clarkson at 5'4". I think Collins is actually pretty solid as well at 5.6K. So I'm pretty high on both Collins and Clarkson at those respective price points. Olynyk, no thank you. THT, they're trolling his minutes. Does have a ceiling if he does get around 30 minutes. He's playable. Annoying they only made him point guard only now, and I don't like much else here for Utah. Let's move on to the last game of the night. Rematch from the other night. I like Wemby. It's just he's not going to play too many minutes, but he will stuff the stat sheet when he's out there. Has defensive stats upside as well. It's just the minutes. It's just tough right now. But I always like Wemby for tournaments because the ceiling is there. Vassell, Keldon, they also both have ceilings, but they seem priced about right to me. Zach Collins, I think, gets around 30 minutes. He's stuffing the stat sheet. 6'3", I think, is a good price for him. I think he's solid. Sochan at the point. 5'6" seems priced about right for him. Trey Jones at 4'8" should get low 20s minutes. Reasonable value. And I'm not going to play anyone else. On to Phoenix. So big news here is Booker. If Devin Booker is in, then I think Kevin Durant's priced about right. If Booker plays and he's not on a limit, I would prefer Booker to KD. Nurk would be priced about right at 7K. EG would be also priced about right. Same with Grayson Allen. Okogie would be fine. And then Goodwin would be out of play for me at that price point. Drew Eubanks would get the backup 5, but they raised his price. There wouldn't be a lot to like here if Booker's in. I would say it's mainly be just like Booker for me. Maybe Eric Gordon or Grayson Allen or Koji, but not much. But if Booker's out, then that's what changes things. Then I really like Kevin Durant. Nurkic would be the number 2, basically. He would look good to me at 7K. Eric Gordon would be a good mid-range play at 5'5". Grayson Allen I would like quite a bit. Josh Okogie I would like quite a bit. Did I skip someone? Goodwin would be fine at 5'4". And then Yuta will get some run off the bench. Has a ceiling of hitting his shot. So keep an eye on that news. Very, very important news. I will always make updates on Reddit, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.